Hi there, I'm Juan Pablo Barbini, founder of High Quality Automation. In this video, I'm going to dive into the different ways we have to add and identify IP devices inside Control4. I will explain the advantage, disadvantage, and some user cases of each one of these methods. Let's get started. Let's start with the first method we are going to cover to add and identify devices in a Control4 project. This is the easiest way and the most recommended way to add a device or a driver to a project. In this case, we are going to go to the bedroom. And if you go to the Discovery tab, you will have every device that is currently in the network and has SDDP protocol enabled. Before continue, I would like to explain more deeply what's the concept behind the SDDP and why it's so useful. Suppose that we have a network and in the network we have different devices. In this case, we have a touchscreen, Control4 the director, and well, obviously other devices that could be in the network. Suppose that we have this touchscreen that is not identified in the project, and we have obviously the touchscreen is online and has its own IP. The SDDP works in this way. Every device that is compatible with SDDP generates a packet of multicast with all the information about that device, brand, model, MAC address, the IP, and other information like which the driver that it needs, etc. This package is sent across the network and will be received to all the devices that are listened to that multicast address. Obviously, the director does. So the director received that there is a touchscreen on the network with these characteristics. Suppose that we have already added the driver and we identified it with SDDP. What it does, it grabs this package and say, okay, I need to make a TCP connection to this IP. That is basically the IP of the touchscreen that was sending the information of the multicast packets. This TCP connection, that is to the IP, is the connection that handles all the communication between the device and the director. This is the channel which all the commands and feedbacks information goes from the director to the touch screen. So in the end, the connection is a TCP-like connection. But the advantage of the SDDP is that suppose that the touchscreen changed the IP for any reason. For example, we release the DHCP reservation and we rebooted it and it grabbed a new IP. Control4 will try to connect with the touchscreen with the previous IP, the 230, but he won't connect because obviously it's not there anymore. So the advantage of the SDDP is that the touchscreen will generate a new packet of SDDP with all the information that we had with the updated IP. That packet will be will be on the network and we will receive again by the director. So the director will see, okay, this device with all these characteristics, with this MAC address and this SDDP ID now has this new IP. So I will update my connection to this IP and I will try to connect again. And here is when the connection is made again. This is basically the concept of why SDDP is a very good feature as it make the project more robust because every device that works in this way, if they change the IP, will be updated by the director and will be connected again. And I want you to go with this information. The SDDP is not a communication channel of the the control of the device. If we make double click in this case in the touchscreen, that is the one we are going to test the difference method. If we make double click, it will first add the driver and then will identify the driver to that device. So for example, let's change the name T3 demo video, for example. So automatically pop-ups the information is Ethernet connected by Ethernet. And if we go to connections tab, network tab, IP network, we will see that here we have T3 demo video. It is in a bedroom and it's online. It shows the IP, but here in address, we have all this bunch of characters, basically a string, that is the way that Control4 shows when you identify a device with the SDDP protocol. So as you can see, the advantage of this method is first, Control4 add exact driver that this device needs. This is very important because you can avoid any confusion and misselection of driver. And also, uh, after that, it automatically identified the device with that driver. So this is very fast. It's a streamlined identification. And the advantage of this is, besides we can see the IP, the communication relies on the SDDP method. This means that if the device change its IP, it will still have communication, and this IP value is going to be updated with a new IP value, but the communication is not going to be lost. So in general, it's a very good and very fast way to add a device. But the major disadvantage of this method is that you rely that the device must be online and needs to be found by Control4 in the network in order to in order to find and add and identify the device. So this could be a little bit the problem if you, for example, want to pre-program a project and you can, for example, add devices and tie some programming to that device. If you need to wait to plug all the devices online and you don't have them, or you can do it on the office and you need to do it on site, you will need to wait until be on site and everything online to start to adding the devices. So for me, the disadvantage is that one. You rely on every device being online in the moment that you want to make the programming of them. So let's go with another option. Let's erase the driver first. And we are going to do something similar, but like in two steps. Well, now you can see that we have it here again. We are going to ignore this way. And what we are going to do is, suppose that we want to pre-program this project. We don't have the device online right now, but we want to add the device and later identify it. So in this case, as because this is a Control4 touchscreen, we can go to My Drivers tab and search for it. It will show some part here, or we can go to the search tab that is more general in all your database, local database and cloud database of Control4, and we are going to put T3 dot. So here we have the different models. We need to find this is a T3 7-inch in wall touchscreen. You need to pick the right driver and double click it to add it to the project. As you can see, this is one of the disadvantage of this method. If you need to be careful to choosing the right driver. If not, you could have problems. T3 demo video 2. Perfect. So now here we have none because we just only add the driver. We haven't identified it yet. So the next step, we need to go to Connections tab, Network IP Control. We need to find it, T3 demo video 2, and now we need to identify it. To identify it, we have two ways to do it. We can put the IP of the device if we double click. Sorry, we have three methods. We can put the IP of the device. That's one method. Another method is we can go to the touchscreen, go to the main page and put identify. Or another method that is basically the same thing that going to the touchscreen and click identify is to search in available devices in this part of the tab. We have all the devices that are currently online, populating all this information of the SDDP to the director. We can see here the glass H7. This is the device, the touchscreen that we want. And what we can do to avoid to going to the touchscreen is to grab and drop the SDDP tag with all this. This is basically the identification tag to the proper device. Some comments after a Windows update, I'm facing some render issues. I don't know, it's like we have an offset. So I need to choose this one in order to make the proper connection. But when this works correctly, basically it's drag and drop to the correct device. And now we are going we can see that basically we have the same tag, the same string that we saw previously. Also, we have the IP and it shows online. We have Ethernet connection, everything is working perfect. So advantage of this method. And this is maybe the method I use most because I pre-program a lot. So this allows me to add all the devices. I need to be careful to add the proper device, but in general, when you're familiar with the devices, you know what to add. And then once we start to making the commissioning, the devices that start to be online, I search for them and send them to the proper device I want to make the connection. The disadvantage of this method, well, obviously you need to be careful, as I mentioned, to choose the right driver. And well, you need to be careful if you have a list of several devices of the same gender, for example, several touchscreen. Make sure that you are selecting the correct one when you have all this list. In that case, it's better to go every touchscreen and press the identify button. But there are other devices, like for example, IPTVs that doesn't have this button to identify them. So you need to be careful with the MAC address, for example, to check which one is the one you need to identify with which driver and make the proper binding. Before I go into the third method, I would like to explain something that sometimes is missed out and could cause you some headaches. Can you see that here we have this famous string that basically is the address, the SDDP address from this particular device to this driver? If you see, we have C4 U device underscore glass H7 underscore touchscreen dash glass H7 dash MAC address. This is exactly the way that Control4 finds this device on the network and communicate it, avoiding any IP changing in the middle. So this is very useful. But the thing is, if you go to the system manager and choose the glass edge. Sorry, here I have the same render issue. I can see that I have selected the correct one. I will put all to connect. If we go to this device, let's wait a little bit. If we go to configure and change this name, that several people do this because this change the name it populates in the networks. So, for example, we put T3 demo touch demo video, sorry. Okay, it will ask you to reboot the device because it's changing like important parameter. Now we need to wait a little bit. Well, now we can see that we have lost the IP address. It's not showing anymore. This is showing online, but the LED is red. This indicates that we have some issues. Something is not communicating properly. And if we wait a little bit, now the touchscreen is rebooting itself. I can see it from my side. If we wait a little bit, now it's showing totally offline. Here. Now we can see that the tag of the device was changed because we changed the name. And you can tell me, well, Han, this is not very big issue. I can change all of this device name from the system manager before identify them because, as you know, system manager is independent of Composer Pro from the project side. Um, I can change one by one to the name I want and then identify them with SDDP. Yes, you're right. You can do it. For example, you can go here and make it again and will start to work. Perfect. But what's the issue about this? Suppose that in this case, this is a touchscreen. In a year from now, the touchscreen starts to working not correctly in a project of a customer. You probably will ask the customer to make a factory reboot because it's quite easy to make a factory reboot of the touchscreen. When they do the factory reboot of the touchscreen, the name will be lost and will start to have the same name that has previously, but basically was the default name. So the SDDP tag will be changed, and therefore, when the touchscreen reboots completely, Control4 is not going to identify it and it's not going to work properly. So for me, to be honest, I prefer to keep all the default names of the devices. I don't change any name of any device in the network from the system manager to avoid this. So if I need to make a factory reset of the touchscreen will, when it finish, it will go online. We will have the same SDDP tag, and this will show it will connect and work perfectly from without any change from the Composer Pro. That's why I suggest you not to change any tag. And well, then we have the third method to identify the device that basically now we are going to disconnect from the SDDP. And what we can do is basically put the IP address of the device. If we go to, in this part, for example, this is like a shortcut, we can go select the device and we put the cursor and we'll see the IP 3213. And we put the right IP of the device. Perfect. We will see instantly that in this case it's online, everything is working correctly. Well, as you can see, um, obviously this relies on the IP address of the device. So the major disadvantage of this method is that if the device change its IP, it won't connect with Control4. But it's true that the SDDP, because it's a multicast protocol, it relies on the network and network policy. In a flat network, is not a big issue, but if you have a lot of VLANs, if the network is very complex, you have another company handle all the IT parts, sometimes, yes, they can enable some communication between VLANs, but the policies are a little bit more difficult and sometimes the communication is not so good. So if you are sure that they are going to have a DHCP reservation or static IP, and you want to avoid any like very technical conversations and discussions, you can go with this method because going with the IP identification have the advantage that Control4 just go to the device to the IP and that's it. If it find it, it works. If it doesn't find it, it don't work. So This way is more straightforward, but you need to make sure that if for any reason the device changed the IP, uh, it could be a problem. And also, obviously, sometimes in some TVs, for example, or in this case, this somewhere doesn't have SDTP, so I need only the only option is go to the IP control with IP identification, and obviously it works well. Meanwhile, the network is stable. I hope this video has been useful for you. If so, give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe to my channels. I'm going to upload more videos like this, so if you subscribe plus you click in the notification bell, you're going to receive any news about my channel. Also, leave any comment if you have any doubt or any topic you would like me to develop in future video. Hope to see you soon.